Hi, everyone. We're in Unit 3, Day 9. We're eventually going to work on the structured historical paragraph tool. This is part 2. If you remember, in part 1, we started to work on analyzing source 1, which reiterated or repeated the role of scholar officials. It was from the perspective or the point of view of a Jesuit missionary who went to China and he made observations about the Ming Dynasty. He became so impressed with it that he actually started wearing Chinese clothing and studied Chinese language and the Chinese classics. So this is, remember, his source that compares the two. And we actually started looking for group behavior in the first paragraph. Now we're going to start looking for other sources. Remember, we're working on color coding our different annotations. So when we review, after we rephrase and write it down in that column over there on the right, we don't have to go and reread the whole thing again, but we're going to work by color, as you're going to see right now. Okay, the most renowned of all Chinese philosophers was named Confucius. Well, we're talking about Confucius. Well, that's maybe you're going to go into Confucian belief. Let's see what we can get. This great and learned man was born 551 years before the beginning of the Christian era. Ooh, that's 500 before Common Era, 550 before Common Era, and spurred or pushed his people to the pursuit of virtue, not less by his own example than by his writings and conferences. So he wanted people to pursue virtue, but let's see. Self-mastery, so we can put pursuit of virtue. We're going to have to probably figure out what virtue means. But first, pursuit of virtue. Yeah, I know, start right-clicking, left-clicking, funny things happen. Remember, again, when I do pursuit of virtue, I right-click to drag it across. I go up to highlight, and I want pink, but I can't find that pink. So I'm going to go to custom, being a little fancy here. Woo! Let's do purpley for me. Pink, and we're going to find a light pink. Ish. Doesn't really match. Sorry, I'm sure your color choices will be better than mine. But not bad. Pursuit of virtue, not less by his own example than by his writings and conferences. So his writings and conferences, see, he wrote a lot. Let's highlight that too. Here we go. I can steal that from custom and have it again down there. He had self-mastery and abstemious way of life, which led his own countrymen to assert that he surpassed in holiness all those are considered to have excelled in virtue. Oh my goodness. So we're going to highlight that too. Now, just a trick. You don't want to start using big words without clarifying things for yourself. Now, what do we do when we see all of this language and we don't know what to do? Okay. You can either have an account in vocabulary.com, as quite a few of my students have, and ask for meaning and log in. You can do that. Or dictionary.com, my friend. I'm going to start with abstemious. Did I spell that right? We can cut and paste. Let's search for abstemious. It's coming up. Abstemious, sparing or moderate in eating and drinking. Characterized by abstinence, a word you may have heard of, right? So now, meaning limited eating and drinking. So when someone's virtuous, they're very holy. Okay, it mentions Confucius. I can't spell sometimes. Speaks of his holiness. And his holiness, let's do the list. Self-mastery, meaning the way he worked very hard to learn things, and abstinence, way he didn't really eat too much. And we didn't spell Confucius right. Thank you, spell checker, for telling us that. I wasn't looking how I was spelling. We should also check the text itself, right? And then it says, another remarkable fact and quite worthy of note is marking the difference from the West is that the entire kingdom is administered by the order of the learned. Well, that's yellow again, because it's talking about the whole kingdom is done by the or the learned or the philosophers. So let's highlight that yellow. And the responsibility for orderly management of kind of realm is wholly realm, meaning the whole kingdom is committed to their care. So kingdom is run by the philosophers. I capitalize it because it's a group name. We don't really have individual behavior here, but if we did, we can highlight it blue. Unless you want to specifically speak about Confucius, by individual behavior, you can overlap here. I would say he surpassed in holiness because ahead of everybody else in holiness. We're speaking about Confucius himself, and we're going to highlight it bright blue. Individual behavior. Confucius was holier. Was the holiest, let's say it that way. Now, I'm personally, just because I'd like to show the difference of a title, going to take this off bold. I started typing in the text boxes, and I want the text boxes. I want to make sure that it matches. But again, that first is not so strong. I wouldn't, say it's the best thing to do, but I just wanted to show you how we would in all three colors, because what you're going to do now, remember you started out with something that looked like this. What you're going to do now is you're going to go to source 2, which actually spreads over 3 slides, but it shouldn't scare you because there's a whole introduction about Cheng Duan Li, and he talks about Confucianism as a primary source, speaking about the schedule for learning. You're going to have a lot here for individual behavior, I'm telling you now. I would do it spread over each slide, whatever you find, color code each one, because then what you're going to do as your next step is you're going to remember you're using your own language. You're not just color coding. Let's say if you over here an individual behavior, let's highlight just that one as an example. Keep your desk tidy. Keep desk, keep work area. Let's keep it that way. Neat. Keep your work area neat, right? And again, I'm going to unbold it. We're going to have that for keep my desk tidy. So you're going to do, again, individual behavior, group behavior, and then connect it to Confucian belief for all 3 slides, because in your own words, because what you're going to do now, the last one is you're going to make statements for yourselves about social hierarchy and Confucianism with individual behavior, with group behavior, and then with your connection to Confucian belief. It seems like quite a bit, but if you color code it and then go back to what you wrote in the boxes, I think you should have it. So when your teacher asks you to do this and asks you to do independent work, or maybe asks you to do it for one or the other, says annotate, you're not intimidated. You're going to have all your information lined up, because your next step is going to be to use this information to build a paragraph, and you have everything all organized. Because you know why? You got this.